Fox Sports.
We are the Fourth. We are the West.
Ross Detweiler's resurgence has been great to watch. His work paid off in his last start, and it was an inspiration to his teammates. His performance in Houston kept the Rangers in a very tight game that they'd eventually win, and it was the beginning of the first winning streak of the season. He's on the hill tonight with the goal of getting the Rangers back on the winning track. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T Uverse TV. A beautiful, sunny, warm afternoon here in West Florida. The overhead view of Tropicana Field in downtown St. Pete. It's the site of tonight's game between your Rangers and the Tampa Bay Rays. And welcome in, everyone, along with Mark McLemore, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for this Saturday night of Rangers baseball. Rangers look to get back on the winning side of things after having their 4-game winning streak snapped last night. And they turn tonight to a guy who's thrown the ball extremely well the last couple of times out, Ross Detweiler.
Yes, he has, Buzz. His last outing in Seattle at the end of April was tremendous, 5+ innings, only gave up a couple of runs, and his last outing against the Astros was even better. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, and just 2 walks, and those 2 walks were in that first inning. He shut down the Astros after that, retired 19 of the last 23, and a season high in Ks. So he's looking to take another step closer to what the Rangers really expected from him.
Yeah, Ross Detweiler reacquainting himself with getting deep into a ballgame. His longest outing in almost 2 full years. So he'll look to better that even here tonight as the Rangers look to make it 2 out of 3 against the Rays. Shin Choo Choo and company getting set to take on Tampa Bay. We'll be back with more from Tropicana Field right after this. West is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. A warm, sunny afternoon outdoors. Indoors, a very comfortable 72 degrees and no threat of rain. Inside, thank goodness. You'd be in trouble if they did. Rangers getting set to get back on the winning side of things after an 8-2 loss last night. Well, before we get things underway in this ball game here this evening, let's head down to the field and check in with John Radigan.
Yeah, and Buzz, you mentioned that last win streak started with a really good Ross Detweiler performance. You mentioned it. He allowed a run in the first inning. He then went 6 scoreless. He had 7 strikeouts, and by far his best start as a Ranger. So needless to say, he just hopes to pick up where he left off on Monday.
We really just took a step back. Off speed was working a little more. I'm trusting in myself a little bit, and felt last game Chirinos really saw my changeup working well, and he started calling it, mixing it in, and it turned out to be pretty good.
Lots of credit to Mike Maddox, who he says helped him work through some of the issues he was having early in the season as well. So Ross Detweiler about to get the ball, and the rest of the Rangers about to try and start beating on the baseball. We're going to come back here to the Trop and give you starting lineups and first pitch as we get you ready for Game 3 of 4 with the Rays.
Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers starting lineup.
All right, leading off in center in right field, Shin-Soo Choo. Batting second, Elvis Andrews at shortstop. Prince Fielder will be the DH and hit third. Adrian Beltre played third base and hit cleanup. Kyle Blanks is at first, batting fifth. Carlos Peguero's in left field, batting sixth. Leonis Martin back in the lineup playing center field and he'll hit seventh. Robinson Chirinos do the catching and bat eighth, and Adam Rosales is at second, batting ninth.
And this ball club will be going against Matt Andriese, who is just recalled from AAA Durham by the Rays. Andriese with those numbers in 5 games. Only 2 of those have been starts. A sinking fastball, a good curveball, and he uses a split-fingered fastball for his changeup. He's still trying to establish himself at the big league level. This just his 3rd ever major league start. And at 26 years of age, he has about 500 minor league innings under his belt, but making the transfer up to the big leagues a little bit different for most guys. And for Matt Andriese, that has proven to be a similar story. Shin-Soo Choo stepping in to start things off. Rangers come in at 12-17 on the year. They are trailing by 6.5 in the American League West, behind the Houston Astros and the Los Angeles Angels. And ball one is outside. Choo at 165. 3 home runs. That is tied for the team leadership role with Kyle Blanks and Carlos Peguero. And the 12 RBI for Choo. Second on the ball club to Prince Fielder, who has 14. A little bit tight. 2 balls and a strike. Looking at Matt Andriese, you can see immediately that some of the mechanical issues that he has been working on quite diligently the last couple of years come into play. Throws across his body, so that means he steps more toward the third base line than what would be a straight line to home plate. And as a result, his mechanics can get out of whack pretty quickly. And he has worked very hard to try and straighten those out. Full count now.
But is that hard for a lot of pitchers that to maintain that consistency when they throw across their body like that?
Yeah, it really is, Mac. It's kind of like a hitter when you don't step straight toward the pitcher as the ball's being delivered. You know, you get yourself off balance, and I guess the balance is the one thing that really suffers when that's the case. If you don't have good balance, you can't hit, you can't throw well, and it's you know, every athletic move you make is predicated on balance, and that messes up a pitcher's balance. You'd like to be able to balance yourself on that front leg as you release the ball, give you a good solid foundation to throw over. Another 3-2 pitch. That's outside, ball 4. And Choo draws the leadoff walk. Let's take a look at the Rays defense behind Matt Andriese tonight. It's presented to you by Steel. Outfield this evening with Joey Butler is in left field, Brandon Guyer in center, and Steven Sosa is in right. On the infield, Loney at first, Beckham and Cabrera up the middle, Forsythe at third, and Rene Rivera is catching for Matt Andriese. No leadoff walk to Choo. Here's Elvis Andrus. Elvis a .231 average. Going after the first pitch, it is popped up. Loney, the first baseman. One gone. So Elvis out on one pitch, kind of got that ball up around shoulder high, and Elvis couldn't get on top of it.
Designated hitter, number 84, Prince Fielder.
And that'll bring up Prince Fielder. Elvis talking to himself on the way back to the dugout. I guess going up there against a guy you haven't seen before and swinging at the first pitch will get you talking to yourself.
It will get you talking to yourself, especially if you make an out.
Yeah.
Now, if you get hit, hey, you're okay. But if you make an out, you're thinking, why did I just do that? I've never seen this guy before. So, yeah, he's doing a little talking. He'll probably continue talking to himself until the next at bat.
Prince Fielder celebrating birthday number 31 today. Happy birthday, big fella. Give yourself a nice early present. .339 the average for Prince Fielder with 2 home runs and those 14 RBI. He's got Choo at first, 1 out. Just underway here in the top of the first inning. Fielder with an 8-game hitting streak. Both he and Shin-Soo Choo have hit safely in 8 straight games. Andriese, that high set, and that's in the dirt. I don't know how in the world Rivera made a block on that, but he kept it near home plate. 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, Prince has been swinging the bat really well, especially with runners in scoring position, coming up with big hit after big hit. And with him up there, anybody on base is in scoring position, even with that runner over there at first base.
Choo, of course, with very good speed. A modest lead, and the pitch to Prince. Ground ball to the left side, that's through for a base hit. Choo will stop at second, and Prince Fielder maybe off the end of the bat a little bit, but through the vacated shortstop hole, he has a 9-game hitting streak, and the Rangers have 2 men on with 1 out for Adrian Beltre.
Prince taking what Andriese has given him. Fastball on the outside part of the plate. Looks like he does get it off the end of the bat there, but he hit it the right way. Right through that hole on the left side that's wide open.
Brent's kind of a wry smile on his face. I'm sure he's hearing it from whoever is within earshot about that ground ball. Here's Beltre at 229. And Adrian takes strike one. Beltre and his hitting streak snapped last night. Took an over in that Ranger loss. Half a dozen RBI, had a sacrifice fly, driving home a run in the 8th inning last night. Andrews missing off the plate outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Adrian still hitting nearly 300 in his last 2 weeks of play. In those 13 ball games, 11 of which he has hit safely, hitting 294. Slow chopper, Cabrera to the bag, off balance throw. Loney can't dig it out. And Chu, who had stopped at third, then recognized the ball getting away from Loney, but it was too late to try and restart the momentum. And Chu has to stay at third. So the fielder's choice that he put out at second base. Beltre now at first, and with runners at the corners, Kyle Blanks comes up.
Beltre gets the slider on the outside part of the place. Cabrera comes in, makes a nice stop, steps on second, and bounces the ball over there at first base. Loney not able to pick it. Almost a great play by Cabrera. Chu unable to score from third. When he's coming around there, you kind of have to look up and see where the ball is, what happened with that play. And the ball just didn't get far enough away from Loney for Chu to make it home.
Well, here's Kyle Blanks. Blanks a 343 average. Looks at strike one. 3 home runs tied for the team lead. 5 runs driven in the first week and a half of play with the Rangers. This is his 9th game in the month of May. That pitch just a bit high. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're talking about the Rangers getting a hot Kyle Blanks, bringing him up from AAA when Blanks was summoned with Mitch Moreland going on the disabled list. He was just coming off being the Pacific Coast League Player of the Week for the week before. He hit over 500. 1-2.
But we've talked before about being able to extend this lineup, meaning you've got some guys that are hitting, driving in runs. The more you have in there, the better you are. So if you're going from 1 to 9 as opposed to maybe 2 to 5 or 2 to 6, that makes it a much more difficult lineup for that pitcher to go through. And with Kyle Blanks being put right in the middle of it when he's hot, that's definitely extended this Rangers lineup.
1-2 pitch. Out of play. Yeah, you're right, Mac. You know, from a pitcher standpoint, if you don't have any breathing room from the time you throw the first pitch to the leadoff man until you get down to 7 or 8 or 9, that makes it for a long trip through that thing. Where you have to focus on every pitch, and you know that one mistake can cost you against any of those guys. What's it like hitting in a lineup like that? Is it easier?
Oh, it's definitely easier. You know, I've been in a few lineups like that.
Blanks gone on strikes. We'll continue that discussion in an inning or so. Rangers strand a pair on a hit and a walk. Half an inning in the books. No score in St. Petersburg. first, despite having a couple of base runners. Now Matt will tell you about the Amica Rays batting order.
All right, leading off for the Rays, Brendan Guyer will be in center field. Stephen Souza Jr. will play right field at second. Evan Longoria is in the DH slot batting third. Logan Forsythe's in the cleanup spot playing third base. Joey Butler's batting fifth playing left field. James Loney's the first baseman batting sixth. As Drupal Cabrera is going to hit seventh and play shortstop. Tim Beckham is going to play second base and hit eighth. Rene Rivera do the catching and bat ninth.
And that lineup will face the 29-year-old left-hander Ross Detweiler from the St. Louis area. 0-3 with that 6.57 ERA, but that's a little bit deceiving, as we've been talking about. Ross trying to build on that last outing that he had down in Houston, 7 outstanding innings. Fastball command made all the difference in the world to him in that ball game. He starts off Brandon Guyer here with a good fastball in the outside corner. Guyer came off the bench last night to be the big shot in the ball game. Get the pinch hit home run, and he leads things off here with a solid base hit to center, reaching out and poking it right back through the middle. Take a look at the Ranger defense to you. It's delivered to you by Break Check. Carlos Peguero, the start in left, and back in the lineup tonight. Leonis Martin, haven't seen him in about 5 days. Shin-Soo Choo is in right. Kyle Blanks at first. Adam Rosales again to start at second. Elvis Andrus at short. Adrian Beltre at third. And Robinson Chirinos is catching for Ross Detweiler. One on, nobody out. Here is Steven Souza, right fielder for Tampa Bay. The rookie takes outside for ball one. Sousa's batting average at .216, but he has 4 home runs and has driven in 11. Detweiler a check of first. And this is low. 2 balls and no strikes. Sousa, among Major League rookies, is 6th with 22 hits. He's tied for 4th in home runs, 8th in RBI, and 3rd in walks. So he's putting together some pretty impressive numbers in his first full action at the Major League level. Detweiler has the sign, a check of Guyer at first. Big swing and a miss by Sousa. It's 2-1. Sousa 0 for 7 in the series. He is 0 for 8 overall, and prior to that, he had reached base in 8 of his previous 10 plate appearances. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster of late for Sousa. He takes that outside. It's 3 balls and a strike. Sousa batting second. He'll be followed by the designated hitter tonight. That's Evan Longoria. Detweiler checking first and goes that way to drive Guyer back.
Sousa's another one of these guys on the Rays, or the Rays outfielders, that has some speed on the bases. He can steal some bases. He's got 4 so far on the year.
Detweiler gets that fastball in on him, and Sousa fouls it back. So the count runs full now, and we'll see with nobody out in a full count whether Kevin Cash elects to turn Brandon Guyer loose at first base. One thing you need to remember is that Sousa is second in strikeouts among hitters. He's only 1 behind Chris Davis of the Orioles. So you may not have the runner going here with nobody out in the first. He is on a belated jump, and Guyer will have to get back to first.
Yeah, when you see a guy take a lead or get a jump like that, especially off of a left-hander, that means he's not going first move and he's not really trying to steal the base. He's really counting on that hitter to put the ball in play. So the runner at first base is going to make sure that the left-hander goes to the plate before he starts, before he takes off for second base.
And Detweiler with a new baseball checks Guyer again. He again is running. The pitch is outside for ball 4. And the Rays have their first 2 men aboard with a base hit and a single. And Evan Longoria coming up. Chirinos out to talk to Detweiler. And this is a situation that you wanted to avoid coming into the game. You do not want Longoria to come up in a situation early in the game where he can hurt you and where you don't have any room to work around him. He's up there now with runners at first and second. He's their big run producer. There may be other guys on the team that have more RBI right now, but this is the guy that when you're going over in pitchers meetings, you say he is not going to beat us. Anybody else we'll go ahead and pitch to, but Longoria, we can't afford to let him beat us. And now you put yourself in a position where he might. Geyer going to third. The pitch is in the dirt, and that's going to allow Sousa to advance 90 feet also. So a stolen base and a wild pitch, allowing Sousa to get to second, Geyer to third. Well, and now you do have some room to work with it.
Yeah, you do. He's sitting down to first base, but you see Geyer getting a great jump off of Detweiler, who wasn't really thinking about him in this situation. His concentration is on Evan Longoria, which it should be, but you still have to keep some focus on the guys on first base because both of those guys can really move. The last couple of pitches have been pretty tough for Detweiler with Geyer at first going initially.
That ball is blistered to center field. Martin is going back. He is looking up, and that ball's gone. Evan Longoria launches a 3-run home run, and the Rays lead it 3-0. Evan Longoria with his 4th home run of the year, and there was no doubt about this one.
Detweiler gets his ball down and in just a little bit to Longoria, and that's one of his hot spots. He's got a few of them, and he just showed you right there why he's one of the best hitters in the game and definitely the best hitter in this Rays lineup. Evan Longoria looking for something out over the plate to drive, and he got that one in his wheelhouse, and he didn't miss it.
Well over the 404 mark in dead center field now. Logan Forsythe going after the next pitch from Detweiler, fouls it out of play. And the count is no balls and 2 strikes. Well, you know, the one thing about the Rays, the one guy that can hurt you in the lineup, the number 3 hitter tonight, you put him in a spot where he could do some damage, and Evan Longoria did it. Now Forsythe gets the ball down toward the trademark a little bit, so it's going to stay in the ballpark. Figueroa makes the catch for out number 1. Forsythe not missing that by much. 1 gone.
Detweiler able to get in just a little bit on the Forsythe's hands there, just enough to keep him in the ballpark and have him fly out to left field.
Next will be former Ranger Joey Butler. Saw the shot of Ross Detweiler letting out a big sigh and trying to regroup after the home run from Longoria. He was able to get the fly ball from Forsythe. Now he'll deal with Butler. Joey, a .222 average, a home run and 4 driven in. 2 balls, no strikes. Not very dissimilar, really, from the way the first inning started for Ross Detweiler down in Houston. You'll remember that Monday night facing Dallas Keuchel. A couple of walks in the first inning led to a sacrifice fly by Evan Gattis. Ross able to work out of it with a strikeout. But here, couldn't get the sac fly. He got instead the 3-run bomb from Longoria after a walk and a base hit.
The good thing about it is, you know, when your team is scoring runs, most pitchers, I would assume, don't feel that, that poorly when they give up 3 runs. If they just shut the door right there, right, should have some confidence in this team to be able to score more than 3 runs today, especially when they've been swinging the bats on this road trip.
Yep.
Not a whole lot of success yesterday, but today's a new day.
3-2 to Butler. Elvis, throw on the money. That is out number 2. Detweiler comes back after the home run to get a fly ball, a ground ball, and now he'll deal with James Loney. The home run for the Rays, by the way, their 27th of the year. They came in 9th in the American League. Their average is 12th. It came in and hitting at 235. And runs scored also at 12th. Scored 113. 1 ball and no strikes. Loney, 2 for 4 in last night's ball game. Scored a couple of runs. One and one now, the count to him. Last night's ball game, his first multi-hit game since back on April the 29th. In tight, 2-1.
Well, he spent some time on the disabled list with a mild oblique strain, so he hasn't been back very long. This is a guy that's not, not a big power hitter, but he can single and double you to death.
Line drive to right at Shin-Soo Choo. And that'll do it, but the Rays score 3 quickly. They get a 3-run home run from Evan Longoria. We'll go to the second. Rays 3, Rangers nothing. Kansas City Royals will be treated to the first t-shirt giveaway of the season. The first 15,000 fans will get a Red Ranger t-shirt courtesy of Dr. Pepper and CVS. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets, or you can call 972-RANGERS today. Now the Rangers come to bat in the second. They have some catching up to do. Trailing 3-0. Carlos Peguero taking the first pitch from Matt Andriese outside for ball 1. Peguero, a .224 average with 3 home runs and 7 driven in. A ball and a strike.
Peguero's another one who's been hot on this road trip. 357 with 3 homers and 5 RBIs.
Peguero and Blanks and Chu all tied with 3 home runs. Peguero's came in the span of about 24 hours. He had a big rip there and fouled it straight back, 2-2. Here are the numbers that Mac was talking about. 357 on the road trip. Call strike 3. There's a little bit of crossfire from Matt Andriese, and you get Carlos Peguero kind of confused on that one. Got strike 3 on the outside corner.
The looks of it, Peguero thought that ball might have been kind of low. Caught the plate, Fox tracker shows us right there at the bottom of the strike zone.
Now Leonis Martin back in the lineup for the first time since Monday. And at Houston, Martin, you remember, rolled over on his left wrist trying to make a catch in the outfield. Sprained his wrist, and it wasn't until yesterday that he felt good enough swinging the bat to be able to take a full batting practice. He is back in there today, and last 3 ball games have not been kind to Leonis. Just 1 for 11. Forsythe at third cuts it off. And Martin retired. There are 2 away. And now Robinson Chirinos will come up to face Andres. Robinson, a 172 average as he steps to the plate. He's third on the Rangers with 11 runs driven in, and you know, for either one of the Ranger catchers, that's a little bit more than half the normal at bats that the guys playing every day have. That's a strike 1. For Chirinos, this is his 19th start behind the plate. Tapper back to Andres, who will lob one over to Loney, and it's a very quick and easy 1-2 for inning. Rangers gone in order after 1.5. Rays 3, Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. Here's St. Petersburg Beach. A little breezy out there, but the sun poking through. Inside, you don't have to worry about the UV levels. Ross Detweiler trying to bounce back after giving up the 3-run home run in the first. And he is facing Asdrubal Cabrera. Cabrera, a 191 average. Has not really found his stroke this year against left-handed pitching. He's a switch hitter, and against left-handers so far this year, he's 1 for 22. Make that 2 for 23. Kiss of death right there, Matt. Sorry about that.
Hey, I wasn't going to say a word. I know I've done it a time or two already.
It never fails, does it?
Never. Ross has been really good to get the double play. How about that?
Okay.
All right.
Rangers lead the league in double plays, as a matter of fact. That's a pretty good job of hitting by Cabrera.
That is. He went right with the pitch up and away to the outside part of the plate. Didn't try to do too much. Didn't roll it over. Just poked it in the right field for a single.
Well, the third hit of the afternoon or the early evening for the Tampa Bay Rays. And Tim Beckham watching one into the glove of Robinson Chirino. Beckham hitting at .219. All 3 home runs for him this season have come against left-handed pitchers. A dozen runs driven in. He's done some damage. 1 ball, 1 strike. Beckham in the series 0 for 6. He does have a couple of RBI. Currently 0 for his last 12 times to the plate with a couple of strikeouts. Good changeup there. That is what you heard Ross Detweiler talking about, utilizing more in that last outing down in Houston. Keep it down there, you can throw that pitch a lot and have good success with it.
A lot of swings and misses, sure, if you keep it down there. And the key really is to make it look as much like your fastball as possible. You have some guys that don't throw very good changeups, and you can see it because they slow their windup down when they're about to throw it. What I mean by that is, you know, when they start, they're their normal speed, but just about as they're getting ready to release the ball, they sometimes slow down. Those are the guys that don't throw that changeup very often because it's not very good.
Some guys that I can think of that pretty much made a living with fastball changeup and occasional breaking ball, but you throw those 2 pitches, you got a chance to be pretty good.
I didn't really like those guys too much.
You know, I haven't talked to a hitter, and Tom Green said the same thing. He said, you know, you talk about all the curveballs and all this other stuff. Give me a guy that throws reasonably hard, has a good changeup, and I hated those guys.
I mean, it looks just like a fastball. So, you know, you're geared up for that fastball, whether it's 90, 95, you're geared up for it, and all of a sudden it ends up being 85.
Right.
And just the bottom drops out of it. You're like, what was that?
Pitch just a little bit low. It's 2-2.
And there's some guys who just want to throw up the white flag and just say, okay all right, it's you got it.
Next. Beckham from the extreme back of that batter's box on the right side. And a little toss over to get Cabrera to go back to the bag. Rays not a big running team. They've stolen 15 bases this year in 24 attempts. The 2-2 is coming from Detweiler. Beckham spoiling everything away that he can get his bat on. You know, the Rangers talked a lot last year about the injury bug, and it certainly hit them hard. It's hitting Tampa Bay hard this year too. They've got a full pitching staff on the disabled list right now, and we've got another one headed for Tommy John surgery. Alex Cobb announced last night that he's going to have Tommy John. Low and inside, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Rays right now have 14 players on the disabled list. They put tomorrow's originally scheduled starter, Drew Smiley, on as the latest one. Smiley came out with some shoulder problems. And the Rays have already used 37 players.
Sounds a lot like what we went through last year.
3-2 pitch. Slowly to third. Beltre has one play. And scooped out over at first by Kyle Blanks. Nice play by Blanks. And a nice play by Beltre to get the speedy Tim Beckham. Cabrera moves on to second. He's there with 1 out for Rene Rivera.
Nice play on both ends. Beltre had to go toward the line and come in on that ball and make an off-balance throw. Now he's very good at it, obviously. Short hop Blanks a little bit. See him coming in. He's got to get rid of it. Little sidearm and Blanks. All 8'6" of him. Reaches out there, scoops it just like he's supposed to do. Beautiful play on both ends.
Yeah, that'd be a short hop for most people. For him, it was just to kind of reach out to pick it up.
Tell you, nothing beats having a big, tall first baseman, but that can pick it as well.
Yeah.
No good being big and tall and you can't pick it. But Blanks has done a great job over there. He's bailed out a few guys on some short throws already.
Rene Rivera takes the changeup in for strike one. Rivera hitting at 129 as he stands at the plate. Off to a very difficult start. He's already had a couple of relatively long offers. Here's strike two. Latest was an 0 for 18 that ended Wednesday. He's carried that out to 1 for his last 24. Prior to that, he had an 0 for 17. He went from opening day through the first 2 weeks of the season. Tried the backdoor hook, and Detweiler just missing.
Wow, that was
1
close.
ball, 2 strikes.
Pretty close.
Ross getting ready to throw his 40th pitch of the evening. Try it again.
You know, you look at the Rays and all the injuries that they've had early on. You know, we're in week number 5 of the season, week number 6. And, you know, they're only 2.5 games back in the East. So they're still getting it done. The guys that they're bringing up are doing a nice job. So Kevin Cash has done a tremendous job just filling those holes where he can. And, you know, they're showing that they've got some depth in the organization.
Fouled into the glove of Robinson Chirinos, and Rivera gone on strikes. Detweiler with his first strikeout of the evening. There are 2 gone now, and Brandon Guyer coming up.
Nice pitch by Ross, going right down the middle, actually a little bit on the inside part of the plate to get Rivera swinging. Fouled into Chirinos' glove for the 3rd strike. But I like the fact that he's going after that 9-hole hitter.
Yeah.
You know, 9-hole hitter typically is not the best hitter on the team, and he's struggling right now. So you go after him, don't play around with him. You know, throwing off-speed pitch after off-speed pitch. You go right after him.
First pitch curveball to Guyer, drops in for strike one. Guyer opened up the game with a single to center field and would eventually ride home on the Longoria 3-run blast. Guyer hitting at 295. Pokes one out of play to the right side. Mentioned Guyer last night, a pinch hit home run. That was his first pinch hit home run as a major leaguer. Amazingly enough, it was the 3rd already this year for the Tampa Bay Rays. They have 6 home runs from guys coming off the bench this year.
Well, that's pretty good. You like to see that. And, you know, most teams are going to go through the year without having 3 pinch hit home runs, let alone 3 in the first month.
Guyer, a couple of home runs, 10 driven in. Slowly hit out towards short, and Elvis triggers the throw. That will do it. Another leadoff single, no problem for Detweiler. Rays strander runner. We'll move on to the 3rd inning. It's the Rays 3, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. wrap up a 3-game series against the Cleveland Indians. And it's also the first kids giveaway of the season. First 7,500 kids 13 and under will receive a U t-shirt. That's courtesy of Scott's Miracle Grow. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets today. Adam Rosales, the number 9 man in the Ranger order, leading off here in the Ranger third. 3-0 Tampa Bay. Rosales with his second home run of the year last night. A solo blast hitting at 171 now. And takes outside and low. It's 2 balls and no strikes.
Well, you know what I'm going to want to see? I want to see Rosie hit one with somebody on base. And I believe one day he's going to catch him.
Yeah. He's going to have to be careful not to pass him. That'd be a little bit embarrassing.
That would.
Have him run right up your back if you're a runner. 3 balls, no strikes. A couple of extra base hits this year for Rosales. Both of them have left the ballpark. 3-1 now. Rosales getting the start again at second base. And he is starting his 4th game on this road trip. Left center field, ball hanging up as Butler and the center fielder Geyer converge. It's Geyer to make the catch for out number 1. And before Shin-Soo Choo steps in, let's send it back to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. All right, Rick. Rangers here at the Trop trying to catch up. They trail 3-0. Shin-Soo Choo, who began things by drawing a walk, up there with the bases empty and 1 away. Two balls and no strikes. Matt Andriese, you get a visit from Rene Rivera to try and calm down the right-hander. 26 years old, from Southern California. He's from the Riverside area, went to the University of California, Riverside. Rangers drafted him out of high school. In the 37th round, he chose not to sign. There's a swinging strike. It's 2-1. And our Ford leaderboard showing you the active hit streaks in the American League. Albert Pujols with 11. Then it's Prince Fielder with 9 now. Shin-Soo Choo with 8. There's Prince. Little birthday present for himself. First time up. He got a base hit to left field, extending that hitting streak. 3-1 to Choo. This one's popped up. Angling out, Cabrera, the shortstop, calls off Forsythe. 2 gone. So both Rosales and Choo have had 3-ball counts, and neither has been able to take advantage of it. Next will be Elvis Andrus.
Andrus has been able to come back and get him, falling behind the first 2 hitters, but not much to show for it for the Rangers so far.
Elvis fouled out on the first pitch that he saw from Matt Andriese. And he takes that one all the way for strike 1. Elvis, a home run, 8 driven in. And Andriese, that looked like that splitter that he was throwing up there. Hard downward movement. No balls, 2 strikes. Andriese to the wind to Andrus. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Andriese, a 6'3", 220-pound right-hander. Base hit to left field. Elvis got a breaking ball that hung up there for him, and he promptly banged that into left field for a 2-out single. And that'll bring up Prince Fielder again.
Nice at bat by Elvis. Fell behind, got a couple of tough pitches, fouled one of them off. He got a hanging breaking ball on the inside part of the plate. Stayed right there on it. Ripped it into left field.
Well, the second Ranger base hit of the evening, and the man with the first base hit is stepping to the plate, Prince Fielder. The Rays again into not an extreme overshift, but a decided favoring of the right side. That is Drupal Cabrera near the bag at second, or nearly behind the bag at second, I should say. And back in the second baseman about midway between first and second. Prince exploited this the first time up by rolling one through the shortstop hole.
He did. This is closer to the type of alignment I would use against Prince. I'd probably have the shortstop over to, a little bit more to the shortstop side of it. But then it goes back to the pitcher being able to hit his spot on how he's going to pitch Prince.
Yeah, the more off-speed stuff you're going to throw him, the more you'd play him to pull. And, the more hard stuff away you're going to throw him, I think you'd play him more straight up. I think you're right. But apparently, according to some, that the statistics say it doesn't matter where you throw the ball. If a guy's a pull hitter, he's a pull hitter. That's what the analytics say.
We've seen Prince time and time again this year so far go the other way. Even though he's considered a pull hitter, he's used the whole ballpark.
In at the knees for a strike. It's 2-1.
A lot of times with especially in the middle infield, you really want to look and see how your pitcher's throwing. If he's hitting his spots, you see, as a middle infielder, you know what the sign is. You see the sign, and then you line up accordingly. And if he's able, if the catcher calls for something inside, is he hitting that inside part of the plate, or is he back out over the middle, or even on the corner? So that's really how you gauge it when you're a middle infielder, especially when you're trying to determine who's going to cover the bag.
Cabrera, the shortstop, cutting in front of back in the second baseman. The Rangers are gone. No runs, a hit, one left. After 2.5, it remains the Rays 3 and the Rangers nothing.
Not all of them. Prince Fielder goes back to the bench. He's the designated hitter for the 21st time in 30 games so far this year, and he says he doesn't mind being the DH more than playing first base.
In years past, I'd be the only first baseman available, so there was none of that. But like I said, I mean, Mitch is a great first baseman, and even Blanksy is too. So I mean, I'm not, I still work hard out there. You never know when you need to be out there, but I'm definitely not afraid to, let somebody else have it who might be a little better than me. Definitely, I can take the ego out of it. I'm not afraid of that.
We talked about him celebrating his 31st birthday today. Taking that ego out of it might be part of that. Growing up a little bit, being a little more mature about situations and decisions like that. He did say to keep himself occupied on the bench, guys, he talks trash just to kind of keep himself engaged in the game.
I don't think it has anything to do with him just being on the bench in the DH slot. I think that's an everyday, all-day occurrence.
Yeah.
Keeps everybody loose.
Sure it does. And you never know when your wit's going to have to be used very quickly and you're not quite ready for it. You know, you gotta keep that ready.
You definitely have to keep it ready. He fits in great with Beltre and Elvis and, all the guys. They like enjoying themselves and having fun.
1-2 pitch to Sousa. And he takes low and outside. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. No, Detweiler, after the rough beginning tonight, settled down pretty well. He's retired the 6 out of the last 7. 2-2 pitch. Now 3-2. Sousa drew a walk his first time. Now he's trying to get aboard to start off this 3rd inning. Evan Longoria will follow in the order. Payoff pitch from Detweiler. Elvis will handle that. And he fires a strike, 1 away. Next will be Longoria.
Good pitch by Detweiler to get Sousa out. I mean, you're going to have Longoria coming up. You want the bases to be empty.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you can go ahead and work on him, and you're down 3-0, so you want to make sure he doesn't get a pitching hit out of the ballpark. But at least you have a little margin to work off the plate, just like that first pitch. If you can get him swinging out, that's great. Longoria, though, against left-handed pitching in particular, not really inclined to swinging a lot of bad pitches. With that home run in the 1st inning, this year he's now 10 for 19 against left-handers, and he's extended his hitting streak to 5 straight games. 2-0 pitch. Change up, floats in, 2-1. Longoria, pretty much the offensive leader career-wise for the Tampa Bay Rays. A slow roller that's going to just dribble off foul. And Longoria will come back and try it again. Not the only thing that Longoria doesn't lead in career-wise for the Rays are the speed categories, stolen bases and things like that. Everything else.
He's right there. He's the man. He's been here a while and put up some great numbers over the years. And can't forget about his Gold Glove third base right there. He's a great defensive third baseman. Pretty good all-around player, except for the speed portion of it. But hey, most teams will take all of the other stuff.
High and tight. Look out. 3-2. Yeah, the only thing that's really kept Longoria from being a Gold Glove third baseman every year is some injuries that kept him out of the field defensively. Been able to swing the bat, but not play defensively parts of the last few years. That pitch outside, he takes the 1-out walk. No, not a bad walk, though, for Detweiler. If you get to the point where it's a fastball count, and you've already shown Longoria 1 fastball count changeup. You try it again, he won't offer for it, that's fine. Let him go to first base.
Yeah, well, a guy like that, you got to try to let him get himself out. There are certain situations where obviously you've got to go after him and challenge him. Right. But there are situations too. Hey, let me see if I can nibble here, nibble there a little bit.
Logan Forsythe had a fly ball to left his first time. Swinging strike 1. Forsythe brings in a 6-game hitting streak to play tonight. He's one of those guys that has reverse splits for left-handers, right-handed. That 6-game hitting streak we were talking of. He's only hitting .265 against left-handers and .317 against right-handers. Forsythe now 1 out of 5 in this series. Did not play in last night's game. Longoria, a very modest lead at first. The pitch in the dirt. Chirinos, though, keeps it near enough home plate to prevent Longoria from advancing. Detweiler had a long first inning, but the Rays overall have made him work. Pitch total is up now to 61 for Ross. The 2-1 pitch. Now 3-1. And that compares for Detweiler to last time out against the Astros. 7 innings of work through 105 pitches. That's a significant difference. Got Forsythe on the fist. And the foul ball makes it 3-2. One on, one out here in the third inning. Forsythe hitting fourth in the order. Will be followed by the left fielder, Joey Butler. A check of Longoria at first. He's on the move. Payoff pitch is fouled away. We'll reset and try it again.
Just as we talked about Longoria being the speed merchant over there at first base, takes off on the 3-2 pitch. And again, that's more of, getting that runner in motion with one out and trying to stay out of a double play in case Forsythe hits a ground ball somewhere.
That's part of his recovery from the flu, caused him to miss a game the other night. First game that he missed better than a year and a half. Longoria had a streak of 270 games played consecutively, and he had to miss it the other night with the flu. And another foul ball. No, Forsythe hanging tough.
So that's the second time that Detweiler's used that slide step, 3-2. Did it in the first inning, just to try and keep that runner close or not let him get a good jump. I'm not a particular fan of the slide step, especially as a base stealer.
Well, I wouldn't think you would be as a base stealer. The thing that gets me about it, though, some guys wanted to use it all the time with somebody on it. It doesn't do what you want it to do then. This one's going to stay in play. Adam Rosales looking up into the dome. Well, you're going to stagger around for that one a little bit. Air conditioning must have been blowing out. That's out number 2.
Caught the wind up there circling.
Yeah.
That's definitely a tough dome up there to see the ball out of, but the wind caught it, took it to the right. Now it's up. There it goes, taking it back out the center.
You got to hang some more flags up in here and tell you which way that stuff's blowing.
The one thing you don't like to see is an infielder or even an outfielder start to backpedal on a fly ball.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
Joey Butler, 0 for 1 with a ground ball to short, takes strike one. Butler, who made his major league debut with the Rangers back in 2013. No balls, 2 strikes. Butler brought up from AAA Durham. He had Desmond Jennings have to go on the disabled list. Sorry, Mac.
Detweiler getting ahead of Butler, and that's pretty much how he had his success in his last couple of outings, getting ahead of hitters and being able to finish them off. Not just getting ahead, but being able to finish them off.
Right. Sharply hit ground ball, diving stop by Beltre, and he throws him out. Wow. Classic Adrian Beltre at the hot corner. That'll do it for the Rays. The Walker left stranded. We finished 3. The Rays 3, the Rangers nothing. that a post-game fireworks show has been added to the promotion schedule, and it follows the game against Boston. That's coming up Friday, May 29th. Visit TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS to get your tickets today. Adrian Beltre to start off the Ranger fourth inning, 3-0 Tampa Bay. Beltre grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up there. And Matt Andries misses with ball one. Well, Beltre leading off the Ranger fourth, hitting at .227. Right down the line, backhanded nicely by Forsythe. One out. Logan Forsythe showing you pretty good stuff down there at third base. Took his time, made an accurate throw.
That was a pretty good pick on that hot smash by Beltre.
Now Kyle Blanks will come up for his second at bat. Blanks a strikeout victim back in the first inning. Andries has two of them this evening, and they came back to back. Blanks to end the first and Figueroa to start the second. Kyle hitting at .333. And strike two on the outside. Excuse me, strike one. Strike two.
Yeah.
One of us was right. A ball and two strikes now. Andries just hopping over that 50 pitch line at 52 at the moment. Now 2-2. Mentioned Andries had made a couple of starts earlier this year. His first two big league starts. Hasn't gone past 3 2/3 in either one of them yet. And that just missed down and away. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Blanks.
Good eye by Blanks. That pitch is down probably just a little bit under the strike zone. But with 2 strikes, he took it like he knew it was a ball.
Andries to the wind for the payoff pitch. Up the middle as Drupal Cabrera, a play, but he can't get off a strong enough throw. Well, that was a great get by Cabrera. Didn't have time, though, to get all the way up to his feet to throw, and Blanks able to leg it out for a base hit.
Nice job by Blanks. Ball a little bit off of his hands, but fought it off enough. Hit it up the middle enough. Cabrera makes a nice diving play to his left, but just can't get enough on the throw to get Blanks. He got down the line pretty good.
There's a case where shifting over to the left cost you an out. That ball is right straight at shortstop in the normal position. Carlos Peguero struck out to start the Rangers' second this evening. Peguero hitting at .220. Brandon Gomes, a right-hander, starting to loosen now in that bullpen for the Rays. Most pitches that Andries has thrown at the major league level anyway this year. 72, and that was back almost a month ago, back on the 14th of April. Check swing, hits a strike. 1-1. Rays infield up a double play depth, just about straight away. 1-2.
There's that change again, Buzz, down at the bottom of the zone.
Crowd starting to make some noise in support of Matthew Andries. That's a drive to center field. Back is Geyer. He leaps. Goodbye. Peguero to dead center field. Drives it out. A 2-run home run has cut the Rays lead to 3-2.
Wow, great at bat by Peguero. Was fooled on the changeup the pitch before. And then Andrews comes back with a breaking ball. And Peguero puts a charge in it straight away center field. Drove that ball. See, Rivera wants that ball down. Got it down, but just a little bit too much of the plate. Peguero went down, got it. And there was that sound. We didn't hear it from here, but that sound was there. Didn't hear it, but we saw it.
Yes, we did. Lightning coming off the bat.
Wow.
Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, going out to chat with Matt Andres momentarily. A 3-2 Rays lead now. After that, man, Carlos Peguero hit his 4th home run of the year to dead central. And Leonis Martin trying to bunt his way aboard and then bunts it foul. It is 0-1. Martin a ground ball to third his first time. Home run by Peguero, now the 24th for the Rangers this year. Leonis trying to make it 25. Swung through it. Oh, 0-2 pitch. Now, speaking of home runs, how about our T-Mobile game changer? Bryce Harper, at age 22, the youngest player in Major League history and the first player in Nationals franchise history to hit 5 home runs in 2 games. Low throw and out at first base is Leonis Martin. As Drupal Cabrera threw a sinker over to James Loney at first, who picked it nicely. 2 gone.
Loney's a pretty good first baseman over there, a really good first baseman. You saw him get down low and get underneath that ball, knowing that it was going to take a short hop on him, and picked it clean.
No, base is empty now for Robinson Chirinos. Chirinos hit a little tapper back to the mound his first time up there. And Andres misses high with ball 1. Chirinos a 169 average. That ball's hit well to right center field. It is up the alley and deep. It is off the wall. Playing the carom is Sousa, and into second. An opposite alley double, Robinson Chirinos. Well, the Rangers had their consecutive games with a double streak snapped last night at 27. And Chirinos starting a new one here tonight, and he has just driven Matt Andres from the ballgame. Cash out to take the ball, and Andres is finished after 3 2/3.
Chirinos gets a fastball down the middle, middle away. Doesn't try to pull it, goes right with it and drills it into the gap in right center field. Ball off the bottom of the wall out there.
Pitching change underway. We'll take a break. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Well, right-hander Brandon Gomes on now. The Rays leading 3-2, but the Rangers have the tying run at second. Saw Gomes here on Thursday night. Worked the ninth inning. Faced Andrews, Fielder, and Beltre in that frame. Up here to face Adam Rosales. Rangers trailing by 1. And Rosales fouls off that hanging breaking ball. Adam, a fly ball to center as he led off the third inning. Gomes, a fastball slider splitter pitcher. One ball and one strike.
Gomes has been pretty tough on right-handers, only giving up 3 hits. They're 3 for 21 and hitting at a 143 clip against him.
Got to look at the man he replaced, Matt Andriese. Worked 3 2/3 innings here this evening. Pitch stayed up and Rosales swung through it. 1-2.
Rosie wants that one back.
And the Rays in an overshift with Rosales. They've got Beckham, the second baseman, on the shortstop side of second. Cabrera over in the hole. 2-2 now. Look at that left side. The right side vacated. Loney playing off the line a bit, but there's a 70-foot gap between the bag at second and Loney. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Check swing. And the appeal to first, no swing. First base umpire Mike Estabrook making that call. The count is now full, and Rosales trying to get aboard to join Chirinos. Shin-Soo Choo will follow it. You get a good look at that check swing. Payoff pitch coming. That gets by all the way to the backstop. That's going to allow Chirinos to advance 90 feet. Down to first on the walk is Adam Rosales. So the Rangers now runners at the corners, and Shin-Soo Choo coming up.
Number 17, Shin-Soo Choo.
Going to call that a pass ball. I don't know if Rivera got crossed up or if that ball really took a right turn on him. He just missed it.
Yeah, he flat out missed that one.
Now 2 outs now. The tying run at third. The person of Robinson Chirinos. Shin-Soo Choo has walked and popped out. Gomes a check of the runners. 1 ball, no strikes. 163 average for Choo. Gomes back to the plate. 1-1.
Rivera sets up down and away, and Gomes throws it right to the glove, but it's definitely a pitcher's pitch.
Yep, sure is. Looks like that splitter that Gomes will throw back to back, and he gets the half swing from Choo. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes now. Gomes reading the signs. Checks Rosales at first, then Chirinos at third. In the dirt, nice stop by Rivera. 2-2.
You know, an umpire, the way umpires call balls and strikes, it has an effect on the hitters, because if you take a pitch and he calls it a strike, then you have an idea of what his strike zone is. So the next time you see a pitch in that area, you better know, hey, I'm either going to swing at it They're not, but if I don't, he's probably going to call it a strike.
There goes Rosales. The pitch is ball 3, and no throw to second. Rosales with a stolen base. Now, not only do the Rangers have the tying run in scoring position, they have the go-ahead run in scoring position. Adam Rosales with his first swipe of the year.
Rosales taking advantage of Gomes, not paying attention to him.
3-2 pitch. Out to second. Beckham a little sidearm flip, and that'll do it. The Rangers, though, played a couple on Figueroa's 2-run home run. They strand 2, and after 3.5, it's now the Rays 3 and the Rangers 2. Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by the Mazda 6. J.D. Power has awarded the Mazda 6 highest ranked vehicle appeal among midsize cars. Well, the Ray Tank out in deepest right center field, the home of the Rays here at Tropicana Field. Rays coming to bat against Ross Detweiler. James Loney to start things off. He takes strike 1. It's now a 3-2 Rays lead as the Rangers strike for a couple in the top of the 4th inning. Loney, line to right, back in the first. Fastball up and in, and he appealed down to third, but Paul Nart said, no swing. 1 ball, 1 strike. Loney, Cabrera, and Beckham, the first 3 to do the swinging against Ross Detweiler. Now 1-2. Loney, a long-time Los Angeles Dodger first baseman. Mac, you were talking about Loney's lack of power, not really a home run hitter, a good average hitter. That was one of the things that led the Dodgers to seek a replacement. They wanted somebody at that position that could drive in runs, and they got Adrian Gonzalez.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good, yeah. But they also gave up a guy in James Loney, who was an upper 280s hitter. All the time out there with him. Drove in as many as 90 runs, did that a couple of years in a row, but just didn't have the home run power. 15 was the top mark for him as far as home runs. 2-2. Detweiler back to it. Got him swinging. Good tailing fastball from Detweiler. And Ross gets his second strikeout. That's how the fourth inning begins for the Rays.
Ross gets that two-seamer on the inside part of the plate and tails it and runs it in. Maloney kept trying to follow it. Couldn't catch up to it. Nice pitch by Detweiler.
So one away, here's Asdrubal Cabrera, who rounded a single to right field his first time, trying to go that way again, and pops it out of play. Cabrera with that base hit has the average up a couple of clicks shy of the Mendoza line. He's at 198. One ball, one strike. Asdrubal Cabrera, long-time Cleveland Indian shortstop, and he is a good one defensively. Had some outstanding years offensively as well in Cleveland. Had as many as 25 home runs. That was back in 2011. Drove in 92 runs that same year. And he drives it to right again. That is going to be down and run to the wall. 2 plays the Cabrera to second. Will put the brakes on. He is 2 for 2, and both of them going the other way.
Looks like Cabrera likes what Detweiler's trying to do to him. Got another pitch out over the plate. Smacked it down the right field line for a double. Pretty good hack on that.
225th career double for Asdrubal Cabrera. Well, he's at second with one out. Tim Beckham, the second baseman, steps in. Beckham rounded out to Adrian Beltre, his first time up there. Throw down to second, but Cabrera back ahead of the tag. And now he and Rosales going at it. Cabrera not really appreciating the way, and we've got some guys going out to join him. Vince Fielder out there to act as kind of a gate, the gatekeeper.
That's a pretty big gate.
Yep. Cabrera looked like he got up. It looked as though something happened to his hand, whether Rosales stepped on it inadvertently, slapped a tag down it. Cabrera got up looking at his hand and said, hey, he didn't appreciate whatever had happened.
Yeah, I think Rosie slapped the tag on him, which is what he's supposed to do. He's not supposed to just, touch him. You're supposed to smack the tag on him. And I guess Cabrera took exception to that.
It looks like order has been restored. Everybody headed back to their respective positions, whether it be the dugout or the bullpen or in the field.
See Rosie kind of messing around with him, and comes up and then slaps the tag on him. Rosie didn't do anything out of line or intentional.
I really think Cabrera just jammed his own hand against the bag and thought it was something that Rosales had done to him.
Rosie may have lost his balance a little bit and leaned on him.
Right.
See him there. Right there, maybe. Maybe he came down on him with his hand, but it was purely accidental.
Both the veteran umpires out there talking to him. Danny DeMuth, the second base umpire. Paul Nart, the third base umpire. Trying to calm things down a little bit. Cabrera still talking to Elvis Andrus. And now he and Rosales are going to straighten things out. But hey, whatever you thought I did, I didn't do.
Right.
It still hurt.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't intentional.
Yeah. So that's taken care of. Jeff Bannister still out there talking with the crew chief, Dana DeMuth, and looks like Jeff had gone out there. They're going to have a challenge to the call at second base. Dana DeMuth, who's the crew chief, is going to come over along with Paul Narth, the third base umpire, and see if while that tag was applied, if Cabrera didn't take his hand off the bag. Be interesting. You get mad, you get called out on the same field.
That's really interesting. I think if he gets called out, he's going to take an early shower.
Yeah,
he's
going to be hot. Now, here's what they're going to look at here. Now, the tag is still being applied. Yeah, I don't know that you could ever have that call overturned on that. There was no call made safe or out. It's safe at that point. Cabrera's hand's still on the bag, and he gets up to discuss things with Rosales. But in any event, the umpires on the headsets to the replay command center up in New York. And the umpire assigned to this ball game will take a look at things, and he will relay what he sees to DeMuth and Denard. The challenge is to the safe call at second base. Well, it's taking a little longer than I thought it would. He must be discussing whether when he was getting up, if there was a tag applied at all, or as he was in the process of getting up to say something to Rosales, whether there was still a tag.
It'll be interesting to get the official ruling of what it's about. So it looked like Cabrera got his hand back in plenty of time.
Right. Now they're having a nice conversation with New York.
Yeah, the more I look at that, I think Cabrera thought Rosie was trying to push him off the bag after that, but Rosie just lost his balance and kind of, leaned over on him.
Right. Adam Rosales and Kyle Blanks together out there at second base. And Asdrubal Cabrera, who is at the center of this play. Well, they are still debating. And as soon as they send down the decision on this play, we will let you know what it is. Again, the call would be safe at second base, and the challenge issued by Jeff Bannister was that call was incorrect.
It's not the longest one we've had all year.
Yeah, I think it is. Now it is safe. The call is safe at second. It stands, meaning there was not clear and convincing evidence to overturn it, nor was there clear and convincing evidence to uphold it. The call stands at second base, safe as called. And we will resume play with Cabrera at second. A 1-ball, no strike count to Tim Beckham. Jeff Bannister getting a further explanation from Dana DeMuth. We understand now the call was actually confirmed, so that there was clear and convincing evidence that the call was correct coming out of New York. So, explanation given, not accepted necessarily, but given. And the Rangers have no more challenges for this game. Well, Detweiler back up on top. Stepping back in, Tim Beckham. Bottom of the fourth inning. And Beckham Fouls that next pitch off. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Beckham with 3 home runs this year, a dozen driven in. Detweiler's next pitch. 2-1. Beckham 0 for his last 13 times to the plate. Detweiler trying to make it 14. Ross reading the series of signs from Robinson Chirinos. Ground ball to short. They're going to get Cabrera out at second base. The tag applied by Rosales. Cabrera took that 1 step toward third, and he was a dead duck.
That was all Elvis needed. Caught Cabrera out there, out in the middle there, to cut him out to dry, actually. Now, typically, the rule is if the ball is hit to your right as a base runner, you stay there. And that ball was definitely hit to Cabrera's right. And it gave Elvis plenty of time to flip it over to Rosie and get him out. If that ball's hit right at you or to your left, then you can go on and go over to third base. But in that situation, it was to Cabrera's right. And he was just a little too anxious to get to third.
Oh, Beckham now at first base with 2 outs. Rene Rivera, the catcher, takes ball 1.
You see it here off the bat clearly. Cabrera should have taken that first step back, but we'll take it. Elvis saw it. He's right in front of him. Had plenty of time to flip it over to Rosie to make the out. Get that runner out of, keep him out of scoring position.
Beckham draws the throw at first. Jim Beckham, a couple of stolen bases this year. He was perfect, 2 for 2. Detweiler will check it. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rivera, a strikeout, the first time that he faced Detweiler tonight. Off speed, like the changeup that floated in low. 2-1 now the count. Ross up to 86 pitches here as he works in the 4th inning with 1 on and 2 out. And he's got Beckham. They got him hung out in a rundown. Rosales chasing him back, and the tag applied by Detweiler for the out. Well, they caught him leaning the wrong way, and Beckham shot down. No runs a hit and nobody left. After 4, it's the Rays 3, the Rangers 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. On top, let's take a look at tonight's Coors Light Cold Hard Fact. Brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Tropicana Field and Rogers Center in Toronto, the only two major league stadiums still using artificial turf. Go back to 82. From 82 through 94, 10 of the 28 stadiums had some type of artificial turf. It has fallen out of favor, as have the multi-purpose stadia that used to be built, the cookie cutter stadia, if you will, of the late 60s, early 70s. No longer. Elvis Andrus starting things off. Brandon Gomes back out to the hill, and he fires strike one. Elvis 1 for 2, singled his last time up. Brandon Gomes came on to get the final out of the 4th inning. Took over for Matt Andrus. Andrus 3 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs. They were both earned. Both of them coming on the home run from Carlos Peguero. The 1-1 pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So Elvis with the base hit has upped his average to 235. Got him swinging. Pretty good splitter it looked like from Gomes. Gets his first strikeout, 1 away for Prince Fielder.
Not much Elvis can do with this pitch. Starts the bottom of the zone and then just keeps sinking. Swung right over the top of it.
Fielder celebrating his 31st birthday tonight. 1 for 2, had a first inning single. One ball, no strikes. Prince faced Gomes here on Thursday night, grounded out to second. 2 balls, no strikes. That was the first at bat that Prince Fielder had in the regular season against Brandon Gomes. The 2-0 is coming. Rays, by the way, made a move we'll tell you about in just a second. Here comes the peacekeeper, Prince Fielder. He's setting up shop right there. But you are not touching my guys. Fielder, a drive to right field. Going back is Sussy. He's at the wall. It's off the wall. And Fielder hit it too hard. He's got to stop at first with a drive off the wall for a single.
Needed a little bit more lift on that one. He drilled that ball. It's a fastball out over the middle of the plate, tailing it a little bit, actually, on the outside part of the plate. There's that sound.
Yep.
And that's a missile. And if you look at the outfield, they've started. They're playing Prince deep as it is, and still couldn't get to that
right
ball.
That was some kind of rocket right there. Well, Fielder with his second hit of the night. That's his 14th, multiple hit game this year. Adrian Beltre 0 for 2 with a couple of groundouts. 0-1. Beltre has grounded to short and grounded to third. Cabrera, a dive, and he'll have no play. Fielder was going to beat the throw at second, and Beltre obviously beating it at first, so an infield single for Beltre. Rangers now with runners at first and second with 1 out, and Kyle Blanks is coming up.
Beltre pulls this ball into the hole. Cabrera goes to his right, dives. Just can't get a grip on it to try and get Fielder at second. That was his only play. Not sure he would have been able to get Prince there if he did have a clean grip on it.
Cabrera picking up about half the dirt that they added before the ball game to the infield.
Wow.
And Jim Hickey out there slow things down for Brandon Gomes. Pair of hits, and boy, distinctly different in this inning. Prince Fielder lined one off the 370 mark on the wall for a single. And Beltre grounds one into the hole that stays on the infield for a single. A 2 on, 1 out. Kyle Blanks 1 for 2 tonight with an infield single and a run scored. Rangers trailing 3-2, looking for at least a tying run here. 0-1. Again, the Rays in that overshift with Blanks at the plate. 3 infielders on the left side of the diamond.
Great block by Rivera. Keeps that ball in front. Doesn't let the runners advance.
Blanks, a .351 average awaits. 1-2.
Going with a fastball right down the middle. Legs just a little bit underneath it.
Fielder is lead from second. Beltre away from first. Got him swinging. Pitch down and out of the strike zone. Blanks, a big strikeout. The second one for Gomes in the game and the inning, and that's going to be the last hitter he's going to face. Kevin Cash out of the Rays dugout. He's going to take Brandon Gomes back with him and call on Steve Geltz to come into this situation of first and second and 2 outs. Another pitching change here at the Trop. Downtown St. Petersburg. We'll be back after this timeout on Fox Sports Southwest. Universe Rewind will take you back a couple of innings. And Carlos Peguero to dead center field. That was with Kyle Blanks aboard. And first 2 runs for the Rangers here this evening off the bat. Up Carlos Peguero, who is coming to the plate, and he will face the new Rays pitcher. That's 27-year-old right-hander Steve Geltz. Saw Geltz last night pitch the 9th inning. An uneventful 1-2-3 frame as he finished off that Rays win. Geltz appearing in his 15th ball game, 1-1, that .331 ERA, and opponents just hitting .143 against him. Peguero takes strike 1. Geltz came over from the Los Angeles Angels in a deal a little over a year ago. Sent Dane De La Rosa to Los Angeles, and Geltz came over here pitched in 11 ball games for the Rays last year. That's foul back. Figueroa now down in an 0-2 hole. Gelt's a New Yorker. Grew up on the shores of Lake Ontario. Ahead of the count, no balls, 2 strikes. And another foul ball back into the seats. Well, Figueroa now the team leader with those 4 home runs. And this evening, the Rangers 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position, but Prince out there with the tying run. He is at second. Beltre over at first. Rangers trailing it 3-2. Geltz is pouring in the fastballs, and Figueroa, the last 2, is letting the bat head fly through there.
That's missing that one. That's the third one he's missed.
That's pretty close to his sweet spot right there. Get that ball down, maybe a little bit more in toward him. Got him swinging that time. That was down out of the zone, and Geltz comes on to get the strikeout. Rangers get a couple of hits in strand 2. We've played half the ball game this evening. It's the Rays 3, the Rangers 2. The Rays leading 3-2. Ross Detweiler back to the hill. And we will take a look at the Kubota power stats. Speaking of Ross Detweiler, retired 11 of 14 batters faced since Longoria's home run in the first inning. And very much like the inning, or the outing, I should say, he had in Houston on Monday night. Started off a little shaky. Tonight he gave up 3 in the first, and since then has been very solid. That's the same MO he had against the Astros. That turned into a win on Monday, and see if we can't turn this one into a win here tonight. Rene Rivera, the catcher who was left standing at home plate when Tim Beckham was caught off first base to end the 4th. We'll start the 5th inning. Towering drive down the left field line, but it's hooking and goes foul. Rivera gave that a pretty good ride, but it was well foul by the time it got to the pole.
Robbie wanting that ball down and away, and it tails back in over the plate. Unfortunately, Rivera's got a long strike.
And there's a short strike there. It was a check swing. The appeal down to Mike Estabrook at first. He pumped up that right fist. No, it is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Detweiler spinning Rivera around with that inside fastball. Rivera struck out his first time to the plate. The 2-2. And the count runs full. Well, Rivera hitting in the number 9 slot, trying to start this inning off by getting aboard the top of the order. Brandon Guyer waits in the on-deck circle. The payoff pitch on the way. Lost him. Well, the third walk issued by Ross Detweiler tonight. Anthony Bass loosening in that Ranger bullpen. And Detweiler now approaching the mid-90s as far as pitch count is concerned. The next pitch will be number 93, so he could be running up against a bit of a wall here when you jam that many pitches into a short period of time. 92 pitches in 4 innings plus 1 hitter. Mike Maddox is going to go out there and do a couple of things. Give Ross Detweiler a chance to kind of collect his thoughts and get an idea of what he wants to do with Brandon Guyer, and also give Anthony Bass a chance to warm up more fully in the bullpen. After Guyer, who is a right-handed hitter, you have right-handed hitting Steven Souza and Evan Longoria, Logan Forsythe, Joey Butler. So they're all right-handed hitters coming up. Well, that conference concluded, and Mike Maddox, as always, leaving Ross Detweiler with a good game plan for this hitter in particular. Guyer 1 out of 2. Singled in the first, came around to score. He's also grounded to short. Started him off with a breaking ball. It is 0-1.
Got a nice changeup and a 6-4-3.
That'd be good. I'd buy that. Ranger defense set perfectly for that kind of a ground ball to Elvis. 1 ball and 1 strike. Guyer in his last 9 ball games now, which covers 7 starts, hitting nearly 400. A couple of doubles, couple of home runs, 7 RBI in the 9 ball games. Takes that changeup that floats outside. It's 2-1. And you would think if Ross loses Guyer, that'll be it for him. All the right-handers due up in the middle of the order, going up for the 3rd time. Rangers only trailing by 1, and now you have the opportunity to keep it at a 1-run game. Double play might keep him in the ball game for another hitter. And a base hit to left. He got the ground ball, but unfortunately, it was between Beltre and Elvis. And that puts 2 on and nobody out. And we'll see if that spells the end of the night for Ross Detweiler. It's going to, as Jeff Bannister bouncing out of the Ranger dugout on his way to the mound. He has made the motion to the bullpen. He wants Anthony Bass to come in. He will inherit runners at first and second. Nobody out here in the 5th with the Rangers trailing 3-2. We'll take a timeout for this pitching change. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. 1,000 fans 14 and older will receive a Texas Rangers camo cap courtesy of Fanatics. Come on out, Globe Life Park as the Rangers play the Cleveland Indians and pick up your Rangers camo cap. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com. Well, Ranger fans on the edge of their seat. Kind of a tense moment in this ball game. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Anthony Bass on for the second straight night. Bass appearing in his 10th ball game, and he worked 2/3 of an inning in last night's ball game. Steven Souza, the hitter, takes strike one. Souza 0 for 1, walked and scored in the first inning. Last time up, grounded to short. Rivera at second, Geyer the runner at first. And strike two is poured in by Anthony Bass. Bass has migrated from being relegated to a long reliever to mid-game, sometimes late-game situations.
Yeah, I think right now what Bandy's looking for guys to come in and get outs. You know, whatever that designation is, it doesn't really matter. He just wants outs. Bass has done a tremendous job in that long relief role, getting outs. So I think Bandy's kind of figured out, hey, if he can do it for 4 or 5 innings for me, I'm sure he can come in and do it for 2 or 3.
Robinson Chirinos, maybe the most surprised person in the ballpark about that last pitch, though. This one almost got by him. Look, Robinson's going down thinking it's a breaking ball. And at the very last second, he said, no, that's not a breaking ball.
Fortunately, he caught it. A lot of times when you see that cross-up, especially if the pitcher ends up throwing a fastball, he gets to the screen.
And Robinson went out there and suggested to Anthony that he not do that again.
Hey, I got lucky once catching it. Don't test your luck.
Now the 1-2. There was the breaking ball. And Souza able to lay off it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bass okays the sign. A drive to left field. Peguero is going back. That ball's gone. Souza got a pitch up and out over the plate. Drives it out of here. His 5th home run of the year. And the Rays lead it 6-2.
Souza didn't waste any time on that. Got a pitch from Bass out over the middle of the plate. Chirinos wanted it in. And Souza just jumped all over it.
No, very similar to last night's ball game. The Rays busted it open with a pinch hit 3-run home run. Souza coming off the bench to hit here in the 5th inning. He started this ball game and came off the bench and smacked that home run. Oh, a pair of 3-run home runs accounting for all the damage the Rays have done today. The man at the plate right now, Evan Longoria, had a 3-run home run in the 1st. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Longoria walked his last time up, so 1 for 1 officially. Average at an even 300. The right field is sinking in a hurry. Chu is playing deep. And he has to get to the ball quickly. He throws behind Longoria. And Blank's almost able to get there and apply a tag. Longoria taking a big turn, thinking about trying for 2. And Chu almost got behind him and got him.
Great play by Chu. Coming up firing, seeing that Longoria kind of came around first base. Thinking about second base initially, I think. And Chu decided to throw behind him. Blanks got there, but Longoria was able to get back in time.
No, the 3rd hit of the inning, the 3rd consecutive hit for the Rays. Longoria at first. Now a double play grounder to Rosales. Elvis turns it over low, not in time. Forsythe able to leg out the return from Elvis Andrus. That ball took a bounce off the mound, maybe slowed it down a bit, but the Rangers not very well, not very good at turning that play.
Forsythe got down that line pretty good. Ball back up the middle. Kind of kicked to the right on Rosie a little bit, but Rosie ate it up, gave it to Elvis. Just not in time to get Forsythe.
So Forsythe now at first, 1 out. Joey Butler is the hitter. 1 ball, no strikes. Butler a couple of ground outs. Last time up, he was robbed by Adrian Beltre at third base. Rays now 6 runs on 7 hits. 2-0. Anthony Bass stung by the home run to the first man he faced, Steven Souza, a 3-run shot here in the 5th inning. Last night, the Rays' big inning was the 6th. They put 4 on the board. 2-1 to Butler. Bass bearing in for the side. Has the one he wants. And Butler shoots it high in the air, but twisting out of play down the right side. That'll even the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Anthony Bass, including tonight now, has inherited 12 runners this year when he's entered the ball game, and 4 of them have scored. He has inherited all 4 runners in the last 2 outings. So it has jumped up to kind of bite him a little bit lately. And Butler reaching out and poking one to center for a base hit. And the Rays have their batting gloves on this inning. That is the 4th hit in 5 at bats, plus a leadoff walk.
Well, Bass is throwing the ball pretty hard, but he's missing his spot, that location with the fastball. I think everything the Rays have hit has been on a fastball right down the middle of the plate. He's got to make an adjustment, either go in or out, but not down the middle of the plate.
Well, while we have a second here, Mike Maddox talking to Anthony Bass. Let's send it back to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. Rick? All right, Rick, thank you. Except for Bryce, about 6 home runs this week.
I think so.
Yeah.
3 in 1 game the other day.
He had 5 in 2 games and back-to-back. He had an off day in there. And I don't mean it was off at the ballpark. I mean it was the team didn't play.
It's probably the only reason he didn't hit one.
Yeah, probably. He might have hit one that day, too. You just don't know about it. Go down and get a pickup game and hit a few in that. Well, here's James Loney, the first baseman. Got runners at first and second, 1 out. Already 3 across here in the 5th inning. Loney has lined to right and struck out. Anthony Bass checking Forsythe at second, Butler at first. A little looping line drive that Elvis is going to rule to have caught that ball. Now, he tried to do that a little bit more quickly than he did the one at home the other day. But you get the veteran second base umpire, Dana Denuth, said, no, we're not buying that.
Dana wasn't going for that one. But, hey, you got to give Elvis a shot. You never know. You got to tip your hat to him. He tried it. Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, he's thinking, I love it. You never know. Umpire might go for it. You never know. If he goes for it, hey, you got a double play, you're out of the inning.
I would imagine Dana's seen that a few times before. Maybe a lesser experienced umpire. You might have a shot. No, that is out number 2. And as Drupal Cabrera, first ball swinging high in the air to left field. Peguero waits for it to come down, and that will do it. But the Rays add 3. Steven Sousa's 3-run home run does the damage. We'll go to the 6th inning. It's now the Rays 6, the Rangers 2. Brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $700 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Irene Tomberlin from Lucas, Texas. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Irene Tomberlin from Lucas will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Now we go to the 6th inning. Rangers now find themselves trailing by 4. And Andrew Bellotti, who was just called up from AAA Durham today, is on the hill, and he is taking over. Bellotti at Durham had 5 appearances. He was 2-0, an ERA of 2.11. Leonis Martin leading things off, takes strike 1. Bellotti was a non-roster invitee to the Major League Spring Training Camp this year. Had 5 appearances out of the bullpen, so he was pretty well known to the Rays front office when he got down there. No balls, 2 strikes. Bellotti coming up since left-hander Drew Smiley had to go on the disabled list. Smiley was supposed to start tomorrow, and he will not. As a matter of fact, we still don't know for sure who is going to start in Smiley's place tomorrow afternoon, the finale of this series. I think you can probably rule out Andrew Bellotti since he's in the ball game now.
That would not be happening.
1-2 pitch to center field. Dyer retreating, but has room. 1 out. Next will be Robinson Chirinos.
Number 61, Robinson Chirinos.
Chirinos put a charge into one last at bat and a double to right center field. Started that double streak all over again for the Rangers.
You get a new one going. Stretch it out for about the next 2.5 months. Robinson 1 for 2, that average now, and 183. It's back on the rise. Pops this one straight up in the air, back behind home plate. It's well out of play. Didn't hear it hit a catwalk, so we're okay. Don't have to explain those rules. Saved again.
You know, all we were ever told was if it hit something, just catch it.
That's
Let
right.
them figure it out
Yeah.
afterwards. Just
Let
catch
them worry
it.
about
Whether it's in fair territory and foul, just catch it, and we'll figure it out from there. Actually, in the old, in the Kingdome in Seattle, they used to have flags that went around the center dome of the dome, and they hung down probably 30, 40 feet maybe. And Dave Kingman hit a fly ball straight up, and it rolled into one of the flags. And we're all standing around looking and didn't see the ball come down, and it landed right behind the pitcher's mound. You've got
really?
four infielders standing right there, and none of us saw it roll out of the flag. And Kingman ended up just on first base. But, yeah, that was probably one of the highest fly balls I've ever seen hit. He used to hit some, close to the moon.
He hit the only ball that I know of in baseball that didn't come down. And Robinson Chirinos hit on the left elbow by that pitch from Bellotti. And he's going to go down to first base. Well, the Rangers continue to have targets on them as far as hitters are concerned.
Number 9.
Chirinos trotting down to first base. Hopefully he's okay. And for Robinson, that is the second time now he's been plunked. Rangers have been hit 23 times as a team this year.
I think Odor leads the pack with 6.
Yes, he does.
It's kind of unusual for a little guy that doesn't really steal bases to get plunked that much.
Yep.
Typically, it's your bigger guys, your power hitters, when pitchers are trying to go inside to him.
Adam Rosales has flied to center and walked. Anyway, Dave Kingman, the only time that I've heard of, they always tell you run out an infield or run out a pop-up, it may not come down. Well, Kingman hit one that didn't come down. He hit it in the Metrodome. It went up through the roof. That's the straightaway center. Hit pretty well. Geyer is back. Makes the catch, plastered up against the wall. Back to first goes Chirinos. Rosales hit it about 402 feet. Unfortunately, it's 404 to the wall out there in center. 2 gone. Yeah, as far as I know, and it wasn't until the snow made that roof come down that they found that ball.
It doesn't surprise me. That was the one guy that I did not like catching fly balls on because you were looking so much, my eyes would start to water waiting for that thing to come down.
He could hit him way up in the air. He was the same way. He and I played together in college. He was the same way in college.
Wow.
Strong man. Shin-Soo Choo now takes strike 1 from Bellotti. Choo 0 for 2 with a walk. The walk came back in the first. He's also popped out and grounded out. Nothing in 2. Choo facing Andrew Bellotti. Bellotti's from your neck of the woods, Mac, down there in San Diego.
No wonder I like that kid.
Yeah. Rays took him in the 12th round of the 09 draft out of high school. Just 23 years of age. 1-2. Bellotti, a look over his shoulder. Chirinos not being held on by James Loney at first. Got him swinging. Bellotti pumping his fists as he walks off the mound after that strikeout. Well, the hit batter Chirinos left stranded, 5.5 in the books. Rays 6, Rangers 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Yes, is the place to go for great deals or great inventory. Get amazing seats that are rarely available behind home plate for the May 29th and 30th games against Boston. Visit TexasRangers.com/treasure chest and check out the deals today. Rays come to bat here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Tim Beckham facing Anthony Bass, goes after the first pitch, and Beckham sends a towering fly ball to left. Midway back on the warning track, Peguero takes it in for out number 1. But Beckham, the only Rays hitter that didn't come to bat in the 5th inning. Leads off the 6th by skying out. And now Rene Rivera will come up.
Number 44.
Yeah, it's filling up the plate with first pitch strikes. He's still out over the middle of the plate with him. Beckham just missed that one.
Rivera settling into the box. Walked to open up that 3-run 5th inning for the Rays. 0 for 1 officially, having struck out his other at bat. There's a good pitch to the outside corner for strike 1. One ball and 1 strike.
You know, Buzz, you hear a lot of people say, well, you know, you want that pitcher to get ahead and throw that first pitch strike, but there's a difference between just throwing a strike and a quality strike.
Yeah, there's something called a get ahead strike. Those, you usually don't get those back. That's where I'm just going to throw it to the middle of the plate. Get ahead slider, get ahead fastball. Not really worried about making a quality pitch. And most of the time, if it's a good hitter, those things are going to be in the seat somewhere. And Rivera lining that pitch into the right field corner. That's going to be extra bases. Chu gets it back in. It's a double for Rivera with 1 out in the 6th inning. Yeah, and as usual, we talk about things in baseball, and sometimes we oversimplify them. Now, you know, we talk about first pitch strike. Well, it's got to be a good strike for it to have the effect you want. Pretty good job of hitting by Rivera there. That pitch out away from him, and he's able to drive it to right. And that's why I think I told you this the other night, my deal about first pitch strikes. If you think on those terms all the time, what do you do when you don't throw a first pitch strike? Then are you pitching defensively as far as your emotions are concerned? I think you would be. At least I would be if I bought into that idea of just first pitch strike being extremely important. So the way I thought about it is I want to make one of the first 2 pitches a good strike, and 2 of the first 3 pitches a good strike, and I want to make the hitter swing the bat by the 3rd pitch. So that covered for me. That covered my parameters of trying to balance it out about pitching ahead as opposed to just getting ahead.
Right. You know, for me, from a hitter's perspective, when I'm up there, I want that pitcher to throw as many pitches as possible. Now, if he's going to throw me a first pitch curveball for a strike, I'm going to let him have that. I'm not, probably more times than not, I'm not going to swing at that. But if I know this is a guy who likes to get ahead with a nice little fastball, I'm going to be swinging.
Elvis will throw out Geyer. They're 2 gone with Rivera staying at second. And a pitcher that threw good quality strikes to you early in the count would make you change that a little bit, right?
Right, absolutely. If it's a quality pitch, fastball down and away or breaking ball down and in or anything that's a good pitch, I'm probably not going to swing at that pitch in that instance. But if it's a get me over, he wants to get ahead, then yeah, I'm going to jump all over it.
And if you're in the on-deck circle or on the bench, you pay attention to what pitchers look like they're just trying to get ahead.
Absolutely, you have to. That's how you don't give away at bats when you get into that batter's box. You're watching from the on-deck circle. You're watching from the dugout. You're watching everything that pitcher does. He may be giving something away, or he may create a pattern early on, the first 2 or 3 innings. And with all the technology today, there's film of everybody. Even if they're typically from AAA or even AA, there's film. So you have a book. You have a good idea of what their tendencies are. So you weigh all those things in. You see how they're doing when you see them in person, and you formulate a plan from there. And hopefully you can execute that plan when you get to the plate.
How much did you pay attention to what catchers were doing calling games? Was that a big factor, or did you assume that the pitchers, for the most part, were on their own?
Well, I assumed it was pretty much the catcher. And teams, the way they pitched me, it was more teams as opposed to pitchers. So if there were different pitchers that changed teams, a certain team would pitch me a certain way.
Right.
You know, soft stuff away, hard stuff in. It was that team. So I had a pretty good idea of what catchers were going to do. Now, as I, spent more and more time in the big leagues, there were pitchers that would start pitching me a certain way because I'd hit them, I would either hit them well or not. So then they would come up with their own plan against me, and that's what I really looked for, trying to find that pattern that fit me.
2-1 to Sousa. It's out of play. Yeah, and it's interesting. We were talking the other night about guys calling games, whether it be catchers or pitchers, and I started railing about youth league coaches, high school coaches that don't let the pitcher catcher call the games. They call it for them. My question is, when these guys grow up, have kids of their own, who's going to teach those kids how to call games?
Nobody. That's going to be that.
They don't know,
the thing.
Right?
Exactly. They don't know what they're doing.
And I've always thought that, if you're trying to develop a young man, whether it be a high school coach or a little league coach or college coach, you develop the mental part of the game along with the physical part of the game. Because I don't know, but I think I know about you, but for me, I enjoyed the game a lot more because I understood what was happening and what was supposed to happen.
And that's what I think you want to do. And, I try and teach kids, okay, here's what you probably should do, but here's why. Or if they do something, okay, well, why did you do that? And they're thinking, initially, hey, well, did I do something wrong? No, I just want you to know why you did it. You did it right, but there's a reason for that. So knowing why you're doing something, how to do it, number one, and then why you're doing it is the other part of it. And there's some kids that just have that natural gift. They know how to do things, but still knowing the reason why you do them, and then in certain situations why you do or don't do those things.
Well, and that gives you the ability to teach to somebody else. If you don't know why, you can't teach it.
Absolutely. I was taught by, I came up with a veteran team with the Angels, and there were many guys that took me under the wing and taught me, and even guys around the league on other teams. George Hendricks was one of the guys that told me, he said, listen, all I ever want from you is that when it becomes your time, pass it on.
Right.
And that's how you teach the people that are coming behind you.
Anthony Bass ends up walking Steven Sousa. Sousa had been the first hitter that Bass faced coming in and hit that 3-run home run off him. He garners a 2-out walk here, and Mike Maddox on his way to the mound one more time to talk to Anthony Bass and give the bullpen an opportunity to get up and get loose. Spencer Patton beginning to throw quickly in the Ranger bullpen. Yeah, to me, it's kind of a disservice to kids when you take on the obligation to teach them, to develop them as players, and you leave out part of the lesson, whether it be the mental part of the game. And yeah, everybody wants to win if you're a coach, but it's more important that you teach kids how to go about it the right way and give them the ability to teach others younger than them, their kids, how to go about it too.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason you see so many kids get to the minor leagues and some even make it as far as the big leagues that don't understand what they're doing.
Right. Here's Evan Longoria. He gets a breaking ball first pitch and swings through it for strike one. Longoria 2 for 2, a 3-run home run in the first inning, a walk in the third, and a single in the fifth inning. Rivera at second, Sousa at first. 1 ball and 1 strike. And again, a situation you'd rather not be in with Longoria up there with a runner in scoring position, 2 runners on. But you need to be careful or he could bust this thing wide open. 2 balls and a strike.
Longoria is one of those guys where you really just don't like to see him swing the bat, because typically he does some damage when he makes contact.
Bass a check of second. gets a knee-high strike. Longoria didn't think so, but we'll take you back to the first inning against Ross Detweiler. Had a pitch down on the inner part of the plate and hit it well over the wall out there, over the 404 sign. Now facing Anthony Bass with 2 on and 2 out. A full count. So with 2 outs, both Rivera at second and Sousa at first will be off and moving with the pitch. Longoria hitting third in the order, be followed by the third baseman Logan Forsythe. Anthony Bass trying to keep this at a 4-run deficit. Longoria with a .307 average now. Bass ready. Runners on the move. Payoff pitch. Chopped right down the line. A fair ball. Beltre, a long throw. Got him. Nice play by Adrian Beltre. No runs, a hit, 2 left. We have finished 6 innings in St. Petersburg. The Rays 6 and the Rangers 2. Inning, Evan Longoria, a 3-run bomb to dead center field. 3-0, Tampa Bay. Rangers came back. Carlos Peguero, dead center field. A 2-run shot cut the lead to 1. But then, in the 5th inning, Steven Sousa, his 5th home run of the year, a 3-run blast, got the Rays to their present total of 6 runs. It is 6-2 as we head to the 7th inning. Elvis Andrus starting things off. Andrew Bellotti fires a strike, and Elvis lines it to right field, but right at Sousa. 1 gone. Now Prince Fielder.
Elvis jumping on that first pitch for the 2nd time tonight. First time up, he popped out to first. That time hit a line drive to right field.
Elvis making that U-turn at first. Is 1 for 4. Prince Fielder 2 for 3. He has had a pair of singles. And the first pitch from Bellotti is in at the knees for strike 1.
Second, sorry,
go ahead.
Second single he hit off that wall in right field, left a dent out there.
Yeah, it said 370. I think it's 372 now. Push that back just a little bit. Off speed, just outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Fielder now climbing back up that ladder. His 14th multi-hit game here tonight. Popped it up. Forsythe, the third baseman. 2 gone. Bellotti looked like he got an off-speed pitch that Prince was just a little bit over-anxious to get. 2 gone, Adrian Beltre. How about our DraftKings players to watch? Prince fielded tonight, 2 for 4, a pair of singles, and Daniel Murphy with the Mets. 1 for 3 with a single. Go to DraftKings.com, enter promo code DTOWN. Beltre, 1 for 3, had an infield single last time up. Nothing in 1. .231 the average for the Ranger third baseman. He's now hit safely in 12 of his last 14 games.
Oh, he's going to find a way to have some fun, isn't he?
He does. He's had some fun in this building, too. He go back to the 2011 playoffs. He had a 3-home run game in this ballpark against the Rays. Chops this one to the left side that Forsythe cuts off. In the dirt, Loney. By the time he recovered, Beltre was by the bag. And Kevin Cash coming out. He says, hang on a second, I may want to challenge that. So he's going to wait until he gets the information from upstairs, relayed to his bench coach, and then on to him. As it stands right now, it'll be an error on the throw from Logan Forsythe. Threw a little sidearm sinker over there. Does he get it back?
That's pretty close.
Well, the challenge has been issued. Here's another angle for it. Comes up. Boy, that is bang bang. Now, remember, the call on the field is safe, and that may be the overriding factor. And again, Danny DeMuth, the crew chief, and this time Mike Estabrook, first base umpire. Get the headsets on to the replay command center in New York. Umpiring crew back there assigned to this game. Take a look at the various angles they get and make a determination on what the call should be, or whether there is sufficient clear and convincing evidence to overturn it. Didn't look from the angles we saw there was going to be enough evidence to overturn it.
No.
Even that angle, when you can see the ball in the glove, it's pretty tough. So here comes the result. He is out at first. There was evidence clear enough. Must have been that last angle. And Beltre is ruled out at first base. The call overturned, and the Rangers, as a result, go down in order in the 7th. 6.5 have gone by. 6-2 Rays. Folks, follow the Rangers all season in 2015 with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, statcasts, and more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet. And the fans enjoying the 7th inning stretch here at the Trop. And Spencer Patton has come out of the bullpen to take over here in the 7th inning. Patton, only one appearance under his belt since being recalled from AAA. That was on Wednesday in Houston. Gave up the 2-run Chris Carter home run Wednesday night down at Minute Maid. Patton, a 27-year-old out of Urbana, Illinois. Rangers got him last year, the deal with Kansas City that sent Jason Frazier on to Kansas City. That occurred in the middle of July. Patton at that time had been the closer at AAA Omaha for Kansas City. Fires a strike here to Logan Forsythe. 2 balls and a strike. Forsythe 0 for 3 tonight. His fly to left, popped to second, and grounded into a fielder's choice. Strike 2. Patton worked in 5 spring training games. Option to Round Rock last week of camp. Call strike 3. Well, he started painting and got that outside corner zeroed in. 1 gone.
Nice work by Patton. Fastball on the outside corner. Forsythe just watched it go right by.
Echo pitch tracker showing you that outside corner bisected by that Patton fastball. Now 1 out. Here is Joey Butler. Didn't get the fastball first pitch. He had a slider and fouled it off. Butler 1 for 3, had a single to center in the 5th inning. That after a couple of groundouts. Mentioned Butler making his major league debut with the Rangers in 2013. Spencer Patton made his major league debut with the Rangers last year. Ended up working in 9 ball games. Did a very fine job, a 1-0 mark with an 0.96 earned run average for Patton. Opposition hit a 182 against him. And that pitch up and in got Joey Butler. So each side now has had a hit batter. Butler down to first with 1 out, and James Loney coming up.
Patton trying to work Butler inside, trying to go down and in, but that ball up in the zone a little bit. And it's like caught him on the elbow a little bit there.
Ed Hickok calling the balls and strikes. Agreed with you, Mac. Said, yeah, I heard some flesh get hit there. A 1 on, 1 out. Loney 0 for 3. Take strike 1. Loney at 233. A couple of home runs, 6 driven in. Patton a check of first. This is low. A ball and a strike. Loney now 2 out of 11 in this series. Rangers doing a pretty good job of bottling him up.
He's hit a couple of balls hard, but fortunately right at the Rangers defenders. Like I said earlier, not a big power hitter, but a guy that can hit the gaps and hit them regularly.
Patton misses outside, 2 balls and a strike. Spencer is set. Instead, goes first base way to drive Butler back. The Rays 6 runs on 9 hits. Rangers 2 runs on 7 hits. Neither club has committed an error tonight. That stayed the fact thanks to that replay challenge by Kevin Cash that took away the error on the ground ball that Beltre hit. Now the 2-1. Loney hitting out of a slightly open stance, ever so slightly. It's a fly ball to right, hit pretty well. Chu retreating to the warning track and has room. 2 gone. So Loney skies out. Now Asdrubal Cabrera will come up. And before Cabrera steps in, let's send it back to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. All right, Rick, thank you. There goes Butler. Pitches a ball to throw. They got him. Well, Robinson Torino's throwing a laser down there to second base, and caught stealing is Joey Butler. 7th is gone by the boards. Nothing going for the Rays. 6-2, Tampa Bay. Tomorrow afternoon, and it's back home. 4 with Kansas City, 3 with Cleveland before heading back onto the road for a 9-game, 3-city swing to Boston, New York, and Cleveland for the Rangers. Unfinished business here at the Trop. Got the Rays leading 6-2. Rangers coming to bat here in the 8th inning. Kyle Blanks, Carlos Peguero, and Leonis Martin to face Andrew Bellotti. Kyle Blanks, an infield single in 3 trips. He scored the first of the 2 Ranger runs. He scored on the home run by Carlos Peguero. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bellotti from the stretch. Off speed. He had Blanks out in front of him. 1-2.
Blanks has been getting a lot of off-speed pitches tonight from the Rays. Not a whole lot of fastballs to hit for him.
one is line foul. Looked like an off-speed pitch that stayed up for him, but just pulling the trigger a bit too early. So Blank's back in there. Kyle now at 342 after his 1 for 3. In too tight. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bellotti had been a starter early in his minor league career. Switched to the bullpen 2 years ago. And when he had gone to AAA this year, he had been stretched back out as a possible starter. Pitch out of play down the right side off the bat of Blanks. Well, the Rays still undecided on what the young man can best be used for in their system. Again, he's only 23 years old and still plenty of time to make that determination. The 2-2 pitch is coming. Forsythe gobbles it up. 1 out. Next will be Carlos Peguero. Peguero with a 2-run home run in the 4th inning. His team leading 4th home run of the year. Also now has 9 runs driven, and all 4 of those home runs have come in the span of 4 games. Go back to the last 2 games in Houston, the first 2 games here, plus tonight, last 5 games, I guess it would be. Doing some heavy damage.
He's been showing a lot of power. Even the balls that he doesn't hit out of the ballpark, he's hit a couple balls off the wall and into the gap. He's just absolutely drilled.
A ball and a strike. Our Echo pitch tracker showing that last pitch right at the bottom of the zone. 2-1 now. Bellotti ready. And Peguero laces it down the left field line. It's slicing at the pole and foul. Wow. Get that about 360 feet right down the opposite line. Now that is some serious power.
Just foul, and it sounded like it was off the end of the bat. 10 feet to the left.
Wow. You know, 2-2 now. This one is popped straight up in the air. That's up among the catwalks. Cabrera out behind second makes the grab for out number 2. That thing was way up there.
My eyes started to water on that, and I'm halfway up there.
A good look at the center of the dome here at the Trop. Oof. A long way up there. Leonis Martin now will step back in. Leonis, in his return to the lineup, 0 for 3. He was grounded out twice and skied to center. That average now down to 215 for the Rangers center fielder. Just came out of his shoes swinging at that. 0-2.
Martin tends to get into a rut where he's swinging way too hard like that, and that's typically what gets him into that funk that he gets into.
A check swing, he went around, and Martin has gone on strikes. Bellotti now has retired the last 8 Rangers that he has faced. Other side retired, we go to the bottom of the 8th, 6-2 Tampa Bay.
Rangers down by a 4 spot as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning, and we begin to look ahead to the finale of this series, the finale of the road trip for the Rangers. That'll all come your way tomorrow right here on Fox Sports Southwest as Wandy Rodriguez will be back on the mound for the Rangers, trying to pick up where he left off with his first win in the American League. That game, of course, was against the Houston Astros earlier this week. Evan Longoria did his damage today and has always done it against the Rangers. Tomorrow we have the game for you beginning at noon. AT&T Uverse reminds you to tune in to Rangers Live before the game and after as well, guys. Back up to you.
All right, John, thank you. As Asdrubal Cabrera leading off the bottom of the 8th inning against Spencer Patton. Cabrera was left standing at home plate when Joey Butler was shot down trying to swipe second. But Cabrera 2 for 3, a 2.04 average now for the Rays shortstop. Patton falling behind, 2 balls and no strikes. The wind, the 2-0 pitch. Now 2-1. Cabrera, the switch hitter. Always been a better average hitter from the left side of the plate. Fouls that out of play. Maybe a little more power right-handed earlier in his career, but that's probably evened out by now.
Yeah, typically when you've got a switcher, they have one side that's better, and it's typically that left-handed side because you're going to see more right-handed hitters. And then if you're naturally a right-hander, which I think Cabrera is, that's typically the side you have more power on. But you very rarely get to see it because you don't see that many left-handers.
Yeah.
And being a switch hitter is a lot harder than people think. But there are very few switch hitters now that are pretty even on both sides.
Well, there's one from the left side that is going to leave the premises way back to the top of the bleachers. A home run for Cabrera. And that breaks a long dry spell and also makes it a 7-2 game. Cabrera had been in a season-long 49-game homerless drought. Last one came last September, the 3rd against the Dodgers. And he has crushed that drought into non-existence.
He unloaded on this one. Patton trying to go away, left the ball up and out over the plate. Well, got that, didn't miss it.
Well, if he did, what he missed wasn't worth getting. Now, the 3rd home run of this game by the Rays. And Tim Beckham takes ball 1. I think that went over the catwalk. You ought to get a special prize for that.
An extra run with nobody on?
Yeah, I think so. If the camera can't follow it, you know it's long. You lose sight of it up there and that points out what you're talking about, Mac, about this roof being almost the same color as the baseball. Get it up there where the lights are a little bit thinner and you can't see it.
It's tough.
Beckham trying to follow the leader and swung through it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tim Beckham 0 for 3 tonight. He's grounded out a couple times and flied to left field. Rays now 7 runs on 10 hits. Rangers 2 runs on 7 hits. Now he's swinging. Patton going up and in, and Beckham. Here comes the 2nd strikeout for Spencer Patton.
And Beckham was glad he didn't get hit right there. The ball was pretty close, probably too close to be swinging at.
Now 1 gone. Here's Rene Rivera. Another look at that last pitch.
See Patton trying to go down and in. Wow, almost got him in the back shoulder.
Yeah.
That would have been a fine in Kangaroo Court. Swinging the pitch and get hit, that's a big fine.
Yeah. Rivera has doubled and walked tonight. 1 for 2 officially. And he skies to right field, and Shin-Soo Choo handles that for out number 2.
Center fielder, number 5.
Next will be Brandon Geyer. Geyer this evening is 2 for 4. He has singled twice. He has stolen a base and scored 2 runs. Done a pretty good job as the spark plug for this offense. 1 ball, no strikes. Geyer now with a modest 3-game hitting streak going. 1-1. Patton back to the plate. A ball and 2 strikes. Robinson Chirinos getting his customary 1 or 2 foul tips off that mask each night. He takes more foul tips to the mask than any catcher I've ever seen.
Man, that's a rough position.
Yep.
I do not envy those guys that put that gear on back there.
Line drive, Beltre picks it, repicks it, throws him out. Elvis giving him a hard time, and Adrian said, hey, when you got good hands, you use them right. Well, the leadoff home run by Cabrera makes it a 7-2 Rays lead as we go to the 9th inning. Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T U-verse TV. U-verse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by your Texas Ford dealers. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. The Rays in the Ray Pond up there in right center field. The Rays on the diamond are up 7-2 as we head to the 9th inning. Robinson Chirinos starting things off against Andrew Bellotti. And the first pitch is ball 1. A couple of defensive changes we'll catch you up with for the Rays. Chirinos 1 for 2 officially. Takes a strike to even the count. New left fielder Brandon Geyer moves from center over to left, and taking over in center is Kevin Kiermaier. Two and one. Chirinos had a 4th inning double. Last time up in the 6th, he was hit by a pitch. Rays have a pretty good streak going for their pitching staff of not giving up 10 hits. Coming into play tonight, they had gone 17 consecutive games allowing fewer than 10 hits. That's the longest stretch in the majors this year. 3-1 pitch to Robinson. Ball 4. Lead-off walk in the 9th inning, and that is a step in the right direction. Rangers need some base runners, trailing by 5. And the lead-off walk certainly helps. Now Adam Rosales will come up.
Well, it all starts with one, whether it's a hit, a walk. Any way you get somebody on base, and you'd like to get that leadoff man on.
Rosales 0 for 2. He drew a walk back in the 4th inning. That leadoff walk also will get the Tampa Bay Ray bullpen going. First pitch to Rosales on the outside corner for strike 1. Brad Boxberger, their closer, up and beginning to loosen. Adam, along with the walk, has flied out twice to center. Once very deep center field. He's going to make it a hat trick of skying to center. 1 out. Chirino staying at first. Now back to the top of the order for Shin-Soo Choo. Choo 0 for 3 with a walk this evening. So that 8-game hitting streak that Choo has going on the line here. Velotti's first pitch is knee high on the outside corner. .159 the season average. Oh, the Ranger right fielder. There's a base hit. That's 9 straight games. Torinos will stop at second. And Choo with the base hit. Rangers have runners at first and second. Still just 1 out. And Elvis coming up.
There you go, Choo. Stayed on that one. He's had some good swings throughout the night. Not a whole lot to show for it until that at bat right there. It's a fastball out on the outer part of the plate. Yanks it a little bit into right field for his first hit of the night.
A 2 on, 1 out. Elvis 1 for 4 this evening. And a 3rd inning single. Velotti misses the outside corner. 1 ball, no strikes. Elvis, a .311 career hitter against the Rays. That's the second highest that he has against any American League opponent. Trailing the Cleveland Indians by quite a bit because Elvis is going to go an entire career and get a hit every game against the Indians.
That's an incredible streak he's got against those guys.
He broke the longest one, but he still, I mean the consecutive games, but he broke it at 46 or something like that. I mean it's ridiculous. I think he was on the payroll up there. That pitch inside, 2-1 now the count.
I think the only other streak I saw like that was Vlad Guerrero.
Yeah.
Against us.
Against the Rangers, that's right. Yeah, what was amazing about Elvis is it started from the first game he ever played against him. His rookie year when he was 20 years old. 2 balls and a strike here. Now 2-2. Elvis a little disappointed in that call by Ed Hickox. Two on, 1 out. Rangers trailing 7-2 here in the 9th inning. Trying to get the runners on base. There's the Echo pitch tracker for you. The 2-2 pitch. Low, 3-2. Well, Velotti now just 1 pitch away from loading the bases for the big guys. Prince Fielder in the on-deck circle and followed by Adrian Beltre. Velotti sets. The payoff pitch. Up the middle, right at the bag at second. Beckham can't handle it. Everybody's safe. And Beckham's still trying to get a hold of it. What could have been a game-ending double play right off the end of the bat goes for an error on Beckham. It loads the bases, and it's going to get Bellotti out of the ball game because that makes this a save situation.
If hits this ball off his hands, and Beckham's right there on the bag, tried to do too many things all at once. Tried to catch it, step on the bag, and throw it all at once, and caused him to miss it a little bit. And still had trouble. There he is on the bag. That would have been one. Just couldn't hang on to it.
No, that's going to do it. Brad Boxberger, the closer, on in what has become a save situation. We'll take a timeout, come back and tell you all about the big right-hander after this on Fox Sports Southwest.
Your attention, please. Now entering the game with his call to the bullpen. For the Rays.
Closer for Tampa Bay has come on now. He has the bases loaded and one out with Prince Fielder at the plate. And Fielder lost a fly ball to shallow right field. Sousa coming on, makes the catch. There will be no attempt by Chirinos to score as that throw from Sousa in medium right field, right on the money. So Boxberger on one pitch. That's a huge second out. And now it'll be up to Adrian Beltre to try and keep this Ranger comeback alive.
It's going after that first fastball he saw from Boxberger. Didn't get it. Sousa came up throwing, though. Nice throw to the plate. Little Chirinos at third base.
Well, here's Beltre, 1 for 4 this evening. Chirinos, Chu, and Andrews, third, second, and first, and Boxberger misses high for ball one. Boxberger, a 26-year-old, soon to be 27. He has come from the San Diego organization over here. A 7-player trade this past January. Outside, nice stop by Rivera. Wow. Pitch looked like it was by him before he flagged it down.
That definitely saved a run. Little backhand, looking like a middle infielder there.
Boxberger peering in for the signs. 2 balls, no strikes, the count. Now 2-1. Boxberger last year with the Rays, 63 appearances. He was 5-2 with a .237. And this year he has been thrust into the closer role and has responded very well. He's 7 for 7 in save opportunities. Fires a strike to even the count to Beltre. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Crowd of 20,943 on their feet here in St. Pete. Swung on and missed. And apparently it is missed as Rivera to get the ball, and that is going to do it as the Rays win as Boxberger comes on to get both Fielder and Beltre with the bases loaded, preserving the ball game, getting his 8th save of the year as the Rays go on to win this 7-2.
Boxberger goes up and high and tight to Beltre, swings through it. Rivera not able to hang on to it. And there was a little bit of a question of if he fouled it off or not. The home plate umpire Ed Hickok said no foul ball. Swing and a miss, game over.
Well, Adrian hanging around, but finally got the bad news, and that'll do it. We will be back to wrap things up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.